Hey, g'day everybody, it's Matt here from Matt Carves. Today I am carving the body of the dragon, and I'm starting off just with the outline, and my two favourite birds for doing that outline are these two just here. And one of those is a Dremel Burr, and the other one is just out of one of those like cheap packs that you get off Amazon. Okay, so I carved a lot of scales on this dragon, and this is why this carving took so long, but I'm just showing you how I sort of like drew them in. I didn't continue with the drawing in, I just went straight into carving, but I'm just showing you there that when you go around a corner as well, you want the scales kind of flow round corners, so you're going to have to make smaller scales on one side and then bigger on the other. So here I am, and I'm just going in with that fine taper burr and just sort of putting in an outline so I can know where to go on the next stage of this, which is where I go into that point there and I'll lower that point, and the high point is that curve around there. So then I go back in with that Kutzall fine burr and I go deep into that point and then slowly graduate it up into the other area, the bottom of the curve I should say. And if you want to support the channel and buy a Kutzall burr, check out my link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so I get a little bit of money, but you also get a percentage off as well, so that's awesome as well. And I really rate this fine taper burr. I think it's really good for these kind of real delicate operations. I don't know whether it's an operation, but you know what I mean. And here is a little bonus tip for you. I carved a lot of scales here, and you can see what I've just put under my hands. I put a sponge, and honestly that sponge has made such a difference to how you feel afterwards. Sort of takes the pressure off your wrists and all of that kind of stuff. And I also use two hands also when carving fine detail like that. So then I go in with one of those diamond burrs and just smooth it off, and you can see I'm trying to sort of like get into the tiny little bits there, and you want to undercut the scales as well. This really adds to it. So you can do it with this sort of like cone burr, or sort of like a pointy burr, that's just a cheap one, or you can do it with these sort of like mushroomy looking burrs. And I think I really like these ones because it's sort of like it takes a little bit off that edge, the upper edge as well, so it smooths that out as well. And I use these a lot. So I showed you in the beginning that I use that sort of as for outlines as well. So here we go, we're back to the Kutzall burr, the extreme cylinder burr there, and I'm just sort of like doing the underbelly of the dragon. And so what I did with that is I used sandpaper and also a fine burr with that to get as well. So now I'm using this Dremel point burr, and this is really good for doing real big sort of undercuts, and it really makes the carving stand out. So when you're thinking about carving these relief carvings, you want to think about layers, texture and colour. And so here I'm sort of thinking about the layer, and I'm just trying to get that foot to sort of come out of the table. And here I'm just showing you sort of like the textures that I'm using here. So I've got the scales, I've got sort of like the fins of the dragons, and I've got those squares. So that the squares are sort of the background, and I'm going to use a pattern in that which makes it go dark. So you can see there, I've used this pattern before, and I'll put a link in the description on how I do the pattern. I don't necessarily always draw in that pattern, but it was getting quite confusing around all those squirrely bits, so I did that. So with the colours, I want to keep things quite simple, so I've used gold, as you can see there, and I'm using that white, but it's very washed down white, and it's the underbelly of the dragon, so when the dark wax goes over it, it'll just be a little bit lighter than the scales. So we've only really got 3 different colours there. So now I'm just putting on the gold paint. I have used gold wax before, but I had run out of it, so I had this gold paint, so I thought I'd try that. So now I'm just putting on the wax, and I just put it all over the dragon and try and get it into all the nooks and crannies. And essentially you put it on and then you wipe it off. So yeah, it's quite a fun process actually, just to see it change, to transform into something completely different. So you can see it all sort of looks a little bit dull here, but when you wipe it off it all comes back and the gold comes out again. Okay, so don't forget to hit that like button, that would be awesome. And if you want to learn how to carve these diamond shaped dragon scales, check out this carving right here. But until the next time, I hope you all have a great day and happy carving out there.